were at the country store, and we felt that every farm town, farm homestead needed a store to go to buy their basic materials. A country store usually has everything that a homeowner or a cook would need in her home, such as flour, sugar, eggs, bacon, butter, a lot of different commodities, because they didn't have a big refrigeration. So that whatever they sold that had to be refrigerated would be limited to whatever refrigeration they had in the store. But mostly staple things. And then some of your bigger country stores would have like bolts of material, or they'd have thread, snaps, buttons, and then there would be maybe some hats, or some other oddities like medicines, certain, not prescription medicine, but just over-the-counter medicine, and tobacco, because in those days a lot of the men chewed tobacco, and some makeup, and powder maybe, or lipstick, something not like today's makeup, because then the women didn't wear a lot of makeup, and maybe a comb and a brush, or just things that they would need in their household. In a general store, there was always men that would come in, and maybe they'd get a bottle of pop, or they'd pick up a paper or their mail, and they would sit around the potbelly stove that heated it, and there was also a barrel like this with a checkerboard, and they would take turns sitting there playing checkers. Every day we had a store in Darrowville that was something like a country store with a post office, and I never went in there, but what there wasn't one or two men playing checkers and drinking a bottle of pop. I had a picture that was in a reminiscent magazine that showed a country store, and I tried to pattern it. One of our members built the counter for me, and another member that's a carpenter built the shelves. And I hauled a lot of things from home that had been stored there in the basement, in the attic, so forth. And then a few things that I knew they needed, like the bolts material, I had that at home. We had a chance to buy the barrel over here, the wooden barrel that they bought coffee in. And then they would dish it out by the pound, put it in paper sacks, and people would go home. Lots of times it was coffee beans, not the coffee that's ground. And most old farm kitchens had a coffee grinder on the wall. So every morning or at night, they would grind enough coffee for the next day. And then we had a root beer barrel that they used to have in drugstores and stores where they sold glasses of root beer. And then on the wall, there is a price list. And I also got that out of a magazine that told how much butter was, eggs, and so forth. People marvel at how cheap the eggs and the butter and so forth were at that time of the century. So by the time I got everything together that we had with a cash register, I think it worked out real well. And so we set up a country store for the farm families to buy their goods.